By the end of today's episode, you'll know all about what training to list and what not to list on your acting resume. Welcome to the Actor's Career Compass, where we help aspiring screen actors find high-quality auditions, sign with great agents, and book major roles in legit productions. I'm your host, Martin Benson, and today we're diving deep on resumes and training. Don't worry, even though this episode is about acting resumes, I'll try not to bore you too much. We're going to cover the types of training that are okay and encouraged to be added to your resume, along with the kinds of training you should actively avoid including. Things that might make casting directors or agents think that you have no idea what you're doing, or that you'll be more of a liability to them on set than an asset. Ready to dive in? All right, so here are the things that you should include on your resume. Number 1, reputable acting schools and programs. Include any well-known names. If you're not sure whether something is well-known, just Google it and go to the news section of Google. If lots of news articles are showing up, then they are probably a known entity. If you're only seeing like one thing that shows up and it doesn't seem like it's from any legit news site, then maybe they are not that well known and you might reconsider listing them. Number 2, respected acting programs or training styles. So even if you don't have a big name school under your belt, you can include smaller programs, especially if they focus on a very particular style of acting, like Meisner or method acting. Again, even if something in this list is considered something that you may not want to include, you can include it if you don't really have anything else or anything that's better, right? So we don't want your section to get too long, so you're not going to include anything, but you also don't want to have nothing on there. So this is sort of a sliding scale type of thing. Number 3 is specialty training and one-to-one coaching. So if you've done combat training or Shakespearean acting or on-camera technique, or even if you've studied with a well-known acting coach in the industry, those are all sort of specialty training that casting directors do often care about, especially if you don't have a lot of credits on your resume, right? They're looking to see how much you know about the skills that they're casting for. So for instance, if you've done improv and you're auditioning for a comedy or a commercial, well, then including that improv training on your resume is probably going to help. Okay, so we've covered some of the things that you should include. Let's talk about specifically what not to include in the training section of your resume. All right, so number 1, avoid questionable programs, right? So sketchy acting schools or places that have a lot of negative reviews online, I recommend avoiding those. Now, if you're not sure about something, you can do some additional research beyond just the Google reviews page, because sometimes frustrated actors will write bad reviews for programs, even if the school itself is legit, right? So just kind of do your research, and it's kind of like a gut feeling thing. If you're like, this was horrible and everybody's saying that it's bad and my gut is telling me that it's not good, then probably don't list it on there. Okay. Again, unless you have absolutely nothing to put on there. But if that's the case, I recommend maybe considering a legit or reputable acting school, or taking even like an online course, right? So like, for instance, one of my programs, like Up-Level Your Acting, is a great example. Even though it's an online thing, at least it's legit and reputable. And so you can quickly replace anything that's a total scam on your resume with something that is legit and will be very fast to do. Another thing to consider not including are very quick and unknown sort of online certification programs. So for instance, like if you take a masterclass course or another tiny online course that's taught by someone that is random online that no one knows about, like if the influencer is well known in the industry and there's, again, you can Google their name and go to the news section or see lots of articles that are showing up on Google, then yeah, you can include it. But if there's some sort of thing that no one really knows about and it's some like online certification, remember that there's not really any formal certificates or certifications in acting that you need. So just pay attention to programs that are offering things like that and saying like, oh, you'll be certified in Meisner. It's like, what does certified in Meisner even mean? There's not really such a thing. So acting is one of those industries, unlike becoming a doctor, where you don't actually need a formal license or a certificate or anything. You don't even technically need formal training. But again, use your gut. And if it feels like it's a legit thing and it feels like it's more in depth and you're learning something very specific, good. If it's some random thing that you just sign up for that costs some money and you think it's a scam, then not good, right? Number 3 is generic workshops or one-time seminars. So something like Intro to Acting 101 without any further details. You probably want to avoid listing that just because it doesn't really help a casting director know what you actually studied. Whereas if it's screen acting technique, that may be a little bit more specific. But intro to just generic acting, what is that? I mean, acting is such a broad topic, so it's too generic. I also recommend not listing the many workshops that you might have taken. So like if you go to a small little one-off acting class or a casting workshop through a company like 101 or Actors Connection, or like a seminar that a photographer runs, those things are just, they're good for learning something, but they're not really going to tell a casting director that you've got specific training and you specialize in certain things. It's just not super helpful. And again, could make them think that you don't know what you're doing when it comes to your resume, which is going to make them think you don't know what you're doing when it comes to acting, right? Number 4 is just irrelevant training. So don't include any training that's not relevant to acting. Like for instance, if you took a public speaking course or a business course, or if you studied teaching in college, those are just not really relevant, and I don't recommend including them at all. It's just useless. It's going to take up space, and it's like a casting director does not care if you majored in, let's say, psychiatry or something, right? I mean, it's cool. You could say you know a lot about characters because you majored in psychiatry, but that's something to include in like a cover letter or a submissions note, not really on your resume. Again, unless you don't have anything on there. But as soon as you start to get things, then you want to remove those things quickly. You do want to keep in mind, if your resume starts to go over one page, then that's too much, right? So cut stuff out based on sort of this criteria that we've been going over here. But if you have 0 credits, you have no training or anything, then fine, you can list those one-off workshops or other little tiny programs that people might think are questionable. Again, as soon as you have something better to replace them with, do that. As soon as you get your first credit, or you go to a different, more specific or better workshop or class, remove the old useless thing and replace it or push it further down. Your training and basically all of the education stuff that you have should be towards the bottom of your resume as soon as you start getting real credits. Training should never be at the top of your resume. So, thanks for listening. Now, if you want to dive even deeper on actor resumes, I highly recommend checking out my guide on actor resumes. It's an online article. So if you just type into Google the words City Headshots Acting Resume, City is C-I-T-Y, and then Headshots has an S at the end. So just Google City Headshots Acting Resume, and the guide should pop up. I have some free Google Docs templates that you can download with the proper formatting and alignment, and then all you need to do is sort of replace the information with your own. And then this way you have like a professionally formatted acting resume. I see too many acting resumes that are done with templates on like random websites. Like I don't even remember off the top of my head some of these websites, but they got like all kinds of cool colors and like a really slick look, but that's not professional. A professional actor resume is generally going to be black and white. You may have your headshot on it, and it just lists your credits and training and a few other things like special skills and stuff. So do consider reading that article. It's one of the most popular guides actually on the internet. I think it gets like thousands of hits per month of people who are finding it and downloading the free templates. And a lot of people email me back saying, thank you, this was really helpful. So, because sometimes that alignment can be super frustrating to like get the perfect lined up credits and everything. Also, I do recommend that you consider checking out my podcast episode called 3 Traits You Must Develop to Book Major Roles, which is episode number 85. You're going to learn about how your resume fits in with all the other pieces of the puzzle. Basically, how your resume and your marketing materials fit into the grand scheme of things that you should be thinking about as you grow your acting career. Because If you're at the point where you're still trying to figure out how to list training on your resume, I think that you should just kind of be aware of where this fits within the context of all of the things that are going to come as you grow your acting career. All right. So again, that is episode number 85, 3 traits you must develop to book major roles. And you can find it on the Actor's Career Compass. Thanks so much, and I'll see you soon.